The Axeman of New Orleans, Jazz and Murder. Between 1918 and 1919, the city of New Orleans was gripped by terror. A shadowy figure, known only as the Axeman, stalked the streets at night, breaking into homes and brutally attacking sleeping victims with an axe. His identity was never discovered, and his motives remain a mystery to this day. But his reign of terror left an indelible mark on the city's history, blending fear, violence, and unexpectedly, jazz. It all began on May 23, 1918, when the first known victims, Joseph and Catherine Maggio, were found murdered in their home. The killer had removed a panel from their back door, slipped inside, and used an axe to attack them in their sleep. Strangely, the axe used in the crime belonged to the victims themselves, a pattern that would continue in subsequent attacks. Joseph's throat was slit with a razor before he was bludgeoned. Catherine was also struck multiple times, dying a short time later. The brutality shocked the city. The police were baffled. No valuables were taken, and there were no clear motives. Just over a month later, on June 27, 1918, a grocer named Louis Bessumer and his mistress, Harriet Lowe, were attacked in a similar fashion. The door panel was removed, and again, the weapon was an axe. Louis survived despite a fractured skull, but Harriet, who had been struck above the ear, would die weeks later. Oddly, she accused Bessumer of being a German spy from her deathbed, though there was no evidence to support the claim. Then, on August 5, the Axeman struck again. Mrs. Anna Schneider, 8 months pregnant, was attacked while asleep in her home. Though she was severely injured, she and her unborn child survived. Her husband returned home late that night to find the house in chaos and his wife bleeding. Again, nothing was stolen. Just 5 days later, on August 10, Joseph Romano, an elderly man, was attacked and later died from his injuries. His 2 nieces, who were sleeping in the home at the time, caught a glimpse of a large man in dark clothing fleeing the scene. The city was now fully on edge. Newspapers fed the hysteria with dramatic headlines and wild speculation. Some suggested the killer was targeting Italian Americans, as several victims were grocers of Italian descent. Others theorized it was a demonic figure, a phantom. Police offered few answers, and the killer seemed always to be one step ahead. Then, the story took a bizarre turn. On March 13, 1919, a letter was published in the New Orleans Times-Picayune, supposedly written by the Axeman himself. The chilling message claimed he was not human but a demon from the hottest hell. He mocked the police and stated that he would strike again, but with a twist. He wrote that at 12:15 a.m. on the night of March 19, he would pass over the city, sparing any home in which a jazz band was playing. The letter ended with a warning: if everyone has a jazz band going, well, then, so much the better for you people. One thing is certain, and that is that some of your people who do not jazz it on that specific Tuesday night, will get the axe. What followed was one of the most surreal nights in New Orleans history. Dance halls and clubs were packed. Families gathered in their homes with gramophones blasting jazz records. Live bands played into the early morning hours. True to his word, or perhaps unnerved by the publicity, the Axeman did not strike that night. But the reprieve was temporary. On August 10, 1919, Steve Boca, another grocer, was attacked in his home while sleeping. He survived but had no memory of the attack. A month later, on September 3, Sarah Lauman, a young woman living alone, was assaulted. Her neighbors found her unconscious with a head wound and missing teeth. She too survived, unable to recall the details. The final known attack occurred on October 27, 1919, when Mike Pepitone was murdered in his home. His wife and 6 children were inside, but only she saw a large man flee the scene. Mike's skull had been smashed. No one was ever arrested. After that, the Axeman disappeared, just as mysteriously as he had appeared. In total, at least 6 people were killed, and many others seriously injured. The killer's methods were consistent. He used an axe, often taken from the victim's own home, entered through a chiseled door panel, and attacked at night. Despite massive public outcry, national media coverage, and countless theories, the Axeman was never identified. Over the years, many suspects were proposed. Some believed it was a single individual, possibly someone with a grudge against Italian grocers. Others argued that it may have been several copycats inspired by the first attacks. The jazz letter only added to the legend, transforming the case into a strange blend of horror and New Orleans culture. Today, the Axeman of New Orleans remains one of America's most chilling unsolved serial killer cases. His story has inspired books, songs, and even TV shows. And though a century has passed, his eerie letter and terrifying crimes still haunt the Crescent City's darker history.